Good morning, guys. How are you? Yes. Yesterday or during the night, evening my time, we had a big event. And no, you probably don't see this on the news or anything, but to us, technical analysis, we had a big event here happening in the crypto space, right? We're gonna check into Bitcoin. What could that mean, and what is my views at this moment, and potentially what could happen due to this breakdown that we're seeing. Yesterday, check out the soft update. That is soft commodities like sugar, corn, soybeans. I think the softs for the next 2 years, will be a really good. It should have your interest one way or the other, and there is definitely good options coming in for the softs, and you can make quite a decent return on that one. And then again, the short-term view: platinum, palladium, silver, and gold. Yesterday, what is my view here for the short term? Meaning we're looking at the 2-hourly candlesticks, and we will briefly touch it in this video before we go into the crypto space, because it got hammered pretty hard yesterday. So let's dive in here. First and foremost, the 2-hourly on silver and gold. Just quickly looking at it here. We're up 1% today. Does that matter anything to me at this moment in time? No, because that is basically just this stuff here. Right? We don't really, of course it's nice. We would much rather be here than here, of course. But we first and foremost, we need to clear that bull flag. Immature, yes, very, very immature bull flag. But the big moment for us will be that potential head and shoulder. Right? Until then, we look at it, but we're not really that celebrating it just yet here. Same thing for gold. We're up 1% roughly. This is a breakdown, still in that retest kind of scenario, right? So again, we basically want to get above the red here and then clear the golden, and then somehow do this, right? So getting just north of the 4,000 would be very interesting and very a good start to this whole thing here, because we're negating some bear flags, we're breaking some trend lines, and we're starting to see some short-term momentum again. So, but until then, we're actually quite bearish / neutral, a bit more bearish though on gold and silver. Good. So crypto, crypto. Let's see, Bitcoin. Where are you? And we have been talking about this crypto thing for quite a while, and you can see here, these are the lows in 2022. Then we had another major low here, 2023, 2024, 2025, and late 2025, right? So what we want to do, again, I just want to remove these for just a tiny bit, and that is, you can see that we have had very solid price action all the way up, basically. Bull flags, bullish pennant, bull flags, and all that good jazz. And that happened while we were actually trending nicely with the 30 weekly. Yes, we had some dips below, but that, again, that is just, it is what it is. That doesn't mean it's bearish by any means. And meanwhile, we were above this kind of like a rail here. You can see that where we try to connect the lows. Again, we have this kind of rail here with an internal and an external trend line, which is acting as support. And we could do this, make it green. We're going to make that one green as well, and then we're going to do this one here, making it a little bit like you can see. So boom, there it stands out, breaking below the 30 weekly and breaking down from that uptrend kind of rail. And also here on the upper end, we have similar. So this, again, that is pretty nasty. So until we see something that changes our view, we are now heavy bearish on crypto. In general, right? People will say, yeah, if Bitcoin goes down, you will have all season. That hasn't happened yet, so I wouldn't count on it. If you look back 10 years, or 15 years, that hasn't happened. You can't have you can have an all season where Bitcoin does, going chopping sideways, maybe grinding up a little bit, doing somewhat well. But if you are getting some pretty big haircuts in Bitcoin, you will get that in the crypto, in the entire space, of course. So that is for now. Of course, we have 3 trading days left. Technically 5, because we have the weekends also for crypto. That is a big breakdown. right? So until we see something changing, that is pretty darn bad, especially if we close below. I think the level it needs to get above like 110k this week, roughly, maybe 107, in order to basically clear, the weekly moving average there. Bollinger Band is not entirely expanding yet, but you can imagine if we get a red candle here next week, right? Or make a little, maybe like a doji, and then we have another candle, then you will have the Bollinger expansion, and then that is pretty much the way I see things, game over for Bitcoin. And yes, it's a big word, I know, but that is clearly my view. Zooming out here, you can also see, in my view, the difference, right, where we have had these kind of like curtains, hanging there, and then we had one more here, but then it started to grind heavy grinding of that trend line. Whereas here we had the up move like parabola, and same thing here, we had the up move, and here we were grinding. So momentum was definitely not the same this time around. And also, I wanted you to check the Amazon chart, which I've been talking about also. This one here is basically the Amazon chart from 1997 until the dot-com bubble. So we're talking 2-3 years, where we had these first impulse, massive rally. Then we had a third high, and then we made this grinding line here, the exact same grinding channel. And then once we broke down, we did like 90% to the downside. 90% to the downside. If that happens, again, that means we're going to basically get down to the lower end of the wedge, which is typically normal for such a pattern breakdown. Are we going to see that? I don't know. All I know is that the last time we had a stock with, again, Amazon back then, it was a part of the internet, and it had a, it was the future, right? But as I keep saying, every new technology, that is of importance, which crypto clearly is. We are gonna have that, tokenization, crypto, digital currencies, tracking with AI and all that good jazz. Of course, we're gonna have that. But I'm also in the camp that until you get to that point, you will have a cleanse, meaning we have like 30,000 crypto crappy coins, whatever that is, and that needs to be cleansed out. We need to get rid of 99.xxx amount of those coins, just like we saw during the dot-com bubble, where you had a lot of stocks that had high valuation. They had internet or .com in the name, the deal. They need to get, smoked, basically. So and the ones that survives that thing will be the big guys. That will be your Amazon, right? Amazon went from it dropped 95%, and it took, of course, some years, and then it got back above that high, and now it's many multiples more worth than what it was at the peak of the dot-com bubble. And we will probably see the same thing. So I hope to have a major correction in crypto, not too fast, but I hope to have that, because that will be again, in my view, an investment of a lifetime also, if we can get down and start to track it. And if we see the same thing, right, we could actually in 2 years time, depending on the time frame, we could have some really good deals in crypto, even though we haven't been doing a whole lot of crypto lately here, because we haven't really been long crypto. I've been long twice in Ethereum and Bitcoin, and I do have some XLM and XRP just sitting there doing nothing, basically. And yes, it will go down together with Bitcoin. That's fine. I just have a small position because, yeah, I've had that for a while, so it is what it is. Yeah, so what does this mean here? If this wedge clearly is going to break down, we don't want this to do that, right? Because if that happens, we will see contagion into everything, all on the markets, because that means that tech, the Nasdaq, will also see a very sharp dump, and that will spread into everything due to liquidity issues, and people have to cover their losses in Bitcoin and in Apple and Amazon, and then they might have to sell some silver or gold, some miners, some, you know the deal. They have to somehow raise cash, and so what happened back then for Amazon was actually like a long haul, kind of like a grind. Then of course at the end we had a plunge down, then we recovered. So if we get this long grind here, I don't think we will see some sort of contagion. However, I do believe that if we have this long grind where Bitcoin basically just slides down together with the Nasdaq slowly but surely, that gold and silver will have during that period will do really, really well, because people will see that as a better opportunity. So yes, Bitcoin, ouch, that's a biggie. That's a big one for Bitcoin. And we treat this as a major breakdown until disproven. And when could we be disproven here? Because there is some short-term shenanigans. Again, can it overcome the big breakdown? We shall see, because you can see we have this kind of expanding wedge, which again, at the highs, typically is a reversal. But it could be that we're just going to oscillate here and then we're going to blast higher. But this is the short-term view, and the long-term time frames always have more power. It doesn't mean it will win, but it means that more often than not, they will decide the path for, you know, over the short-term stuff, which we're seeing right now. So you can also see here, if we extend the bull flag, we're basically tagging it now. So again, even though we have had a major breakdown, we could see a counter rally here for like 5%. So very interesting here to see what's happening here. But the weekly time frames is definitely breaking down. And now the short-term time frame has a lot of stuff to do. To be honest. So let's see what happens there. And also I wanted quickly, before I let you go, to show you the total market cap of crypto. If we remove it all here, just to be a bit more clean on the weekly, you can see here, I still think we're holding on to some degree, right? We're still holding on. It depends on how we draw this. You can see we are actually still holding. We're still holding the uptrend on the total market cap of crypto. And of course, if we break down from that, I think that's this game over. You can see we're starting to trade below the 30 weekly, so it really needs to recover quickly. It needs to recover during Q4 here in 2025. Otherwise, I believe we're going to see that breakdown, and then of course it opens up, you know, big moves down potentially, and that will be very bad for crypto, tech, and all that good jazz. So that's a long video, wasn't it? No, 12 minutes, perfect. I have nothing more, guys. But I just quickly want to show you the short-term momentum on the weekly time frame on Bitcoin as well. You can see we're also piercing through big momentum structure here, which were created 2 years ago. So again, we're also breaking momentum a bit early. Still, the week is young and all that, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Have an amazing day, guys. Stay safe.